Hello everyone, back to tuning in to today's second video, doing the extended USA forecast for today's second video. So we're going to have a look at the weather for the next 6 weeks across the United States with the extended ECMWF model, and I shall get on with that for you in a moment. Just to say that the first video released today was our 6 AM UK weather forecast, and we've also got a live stream coming up at 6 PM this evening. So we'll be live for our 10 to 14 day at 6. I shall see you a little bit later on for that one, hopefully. Right, let's start off with the week 1 500 millibar height anomaly event from the ECM. So we've got a trough of low pressure this week. This is taking us from the 11th to the 18th September, by the way. We've got a trough of low pressure sitting in these eastern and northeastern regions with a ridge to the far north and northwest. There's also a ridge down towards Mexico as well. So that trough of low pressure is going to be putting in cooler and also more unsettled air into northern and eastern parts of Europe, while the ridge of high pressure keeps things mostly dry and warm out to the northwest. Here's a temperature anomaly then for this week. Quite a significant change on what we've had over the past few weeks. Much cooler across these central and midwestern states, also extending into the east and the northeast as well. So it definitely looks like fall is descending into the breadbasket states and over into the eastern states as well. It is significantly hotter in the northwest, around this Pacific northwestern coast, and up into Canada. We see significantly above average temperatures there, and also along the southern border and down into Mexico. Looks pretty hot for you there, but many of the southern states that have been so very hot lately have cooled down a lot over the past week, or are cooling down a lot over the past week. So Texas, for example, where it's been a phenomenally hot summer, away from the southern Gulf Coast anyway, looking really quite hot, really quite cool in the next week. As far as precipitation is concerned, so we see it's mostly drier than average in the west and the northwest, and also through many of these eastern parts of America. They go toward the Great Lakes, in towards the northeast, and down this eastern coast. It's a little bit wetter through there, but generally most of the northern states looking quite dry. Down in the south, though, it actually looks quite wet. So those southern states where, again, been a very, very dry, long, hot, dry summer, Texas back to Oklahoma, for example, it does look as though there is going to be some much needed and very useful rainfall there in the next week. Right, go for the week 2, which will be the 18th, 25th of September. So got some below average heights, low pressure coming in off the Pacific into the west coast, and also some of these eastern regions as well. There's a ridge in the far northern states and back into Canada. Temperature anomalies look like that. So coolest through the central and southern states, actually away from the southern border and the Gulf Coast anyway, where it's relatively warm. Actually, it's down across those southern states, but we see the coolest temperatures, and again, particularly like to the southwest. So like California, some parts of California into Arizona, it looks as though that's where the core of the cooler average temperatures are going to be. It'll still be very warm there for the time of year. Remember, these are anomalies to average, so given the time of year, it'll still be very warm in most southern states, but it is a little bit below average. The warmest temperature anomalies are up in the north, where we've got that ridge of high pressure, so all looking rather topsy-turvy next week from a temperature perspective. And as far as precipitation goes, it's wetter than average through the central southern states again, and towards the west coast, drier than average in the north and in the northeast. The east coast itself, though, might be a little bit on the wet side. Week 3 is going to be the 25th of September, 2nd of October. Again, we've got some low pressure coming in off the Pacific into the western side of America. We've got high pressure through these northern and northeastern states once again. Temperature anomalies look like that. So coolest in the west, from the west coast to the Rockies. Hottest in the Midwest, really, going towards the Great Lakes, for example, back to Canada. 3 to 6 degrees above normal, so very warm, if not hot, through there. Generally above average through many of these central and eastern parts of America. Precipitation-wise, it looks like that for week 3. So wet up the Pacific coast in towards these western regions, but extending to the Great Lakes as well. Dry down to far southwest. And then in the northeast, yes, it's drier than average through there as well. Dry along the Gulf Coast indicates there's not much in the way of hurricane activity that week, anyway, being predicted for the Gulf Coast states. Week 4 being the 2nd to the 9th of October, signal starting to weaken now, as it often does the further out we go. So they have a ridge of high pressure sitting in the north, otherwise there's not a huge amount to be seen there. Temperature knowledge is generally looking quite warm, so it's average, possibly a bit on the cool side still from the west coast to Rockies, otherwise slightly above average. I think Morrill is starting to revert to its default now. Weak signal for precipitation, but again, we might see the wettest weather in the west and maybe for some of the southern states, but it is a very, very weak signal. Week 5 being the 9th to the 16th of October. A ridge is in the east there, in the far east and northeast once again. Temperature anomalies generally above average, bit of an east-west split, so nearer normal, perhaps on the cool side in the west, more than average through the central and eastern states. And precipitation, yeah, weak signal, could be a bit on the wet side though once more for the southern states. Some very useful rains coming up for those southern states where it was such a long, hot, dry summer. And then lastly, week 6, week 16th, 23rd of October. So it's put in a question mark, not particularly obvious what's happening with that one. Temperature anomalies is near normal to maybe a little bit on the cooler side. I think many parts of America there might be a cool down going on there, a bit of a cool down for the middle part of October. Precipitation-wise, such a weak signal, but can't draw any conclusions. Okay, that's your extended USA forecast for this week. If you enjoyed the video, please you like, share, subscribe, and we'll do it all over again next Wednesday. We're going to be back shortly. Well, no, not. We're going to be back later on, actually, with the live stream at 6 p.m. So we're going to be going live at 6 with our 10 to 14 there. I shall see you a little bit later on for that one. But for the extended USA forecast for this week, that's all for now. And thanks so much.